Where do I even begin? AEW All Out finished about 10 minutes ago, I guess. I'm going live at like 10 past 5 in the morning. I am a very, very tired British boy. But AEW All Out, I guess, quick review. Quite possibly one of the greatest wrestling shows, like an all-timer. It's on the list. It's on the list of all-timer. It just like match after match after match, delivering the hype, staying throughout the entire show, and ending on such a high as well with debuts. And just as a reviewer as well, I've got to pick a running order. I've got to choose. Well, what do I talk about first? And there's so many, so many things I could possibly choose. Like, do I talk about like the tag team steel cage match, like guaranteed match of the year levels and stuff from the Lucha Bros winning the tag titles from the Young Bucks? Do I talk about the CM Punk return after 7 years, his first in-ring match, the big marquee moment? Or what do I start with? What ended the show? And I guess it's on my mind. I'm just going to go with the ending of the show. There's so much to talk about. I would dilly-dally, but it's not really much to kind of no, I'm just going to get straight into it. So to get the intro stuff out of the way, my name is Matt Mayer, aka Imp. We are live here on Wrestling Headlines. YouTube also available later in podcast form. I'll get that out before the end of the night, don't you worry. Say the night. Again, it's 10 past 5 in the morning. The birds will be chirping as I'm editing that. Just treat the chirping birds as atmosphere. Just, yeah. You're able to tell I've got artificial lighting on. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so AEW All Out 2021 live in Chicago in the Now Arena. A sold-out arena. A lot of it sold out on the hype of CM Punk and absolutely delivered on that front. The energy of the crowd was there for the entire show. And my kind of take on it was, for me, it was an incredible event before they even got to the CM Punk match. And there was CM Punk and then 2 more matches after that as well. I guess maybe that, like, to help him mentally, just to not put all of the pressure on him. Could just say, no, we're going to put you on here, there's going to be a break, then it's the main event. I personally think that's wise. And yeah, it just absolutely delivered. And it just match after match after match. And you get this quite often. I've even had this to play for the other side as well. I've had this with WWE shows as well, where I've been watching it and been going, I've enjoyed like 4 matches in a row. Are they going to hit a home run here? The pay-per-views for WWE, as much as I hate the television, the pay-per-views have mostly hit. But this was something else. Truly something else. Just, I've not seen a crowd that hot for every single match. And like, for my main takeaway is you can see when the good work is done on TV, every single one of these people on this show were over. All of them. Every single one of them. That is some good work going in there. And then we had the main event we did. We had Kenny Omega defending the AEW Championship against Christian Cage. We had the whole build Christian Cage, where it felt like it was meant to be Hangman Page's slot. Possibly this is where Page defeats Kenny Omega, becomes champion. It's the big thing they've been building to since the start of AEW, since the birth of their television. This is the thing they've been building up to. Then Hangman Page's wife gets pregnant. Oh no, birthday is the week of All Out. All around what All Out's like, oh dear. So Hangman Page gets written off TV. They go with the Christian Cage match. He wins the Impact Championship off of Kenny Omega, and that's kind of what builds your kind of gravitas to it. You've seen him win. And they get to call back to those spots from that match as well. You get to see the mini sequence that led to the end there do similar here. Just this time, it doesn't work. It's like, yes, I love it. It's great. It really helps make this match feel more important when, admittedly, when they just announced it, I was like, I'm not that excited about it, just by the names. But then AEW does a really good job at then trying to make you care. It's the second step. It's not just announce the match, there we go. It's like, no, you've got time to try and convince me afterwards. So yeah, they did a decent job there. Obviously, the match itself is not what people are talking about. It was a really strong match. So I was about to try and do stars, but I don't do stars, so I don't know. I can't automatically do them. I guess maybe 4 something. 4 out of 5 doing it. I don't know. Don't know. For me, it's more on the enjoyment scale, and maybe I'll have a catchphrase to say for it. But yeah, I enjoyed the main event. You could tell the crowd were quiet, but for me personally, really enjoyed it. It's like your typical like building Omega main event a bit slow at the start, and by the end of it, just having counters galore. Like paired with the top-notch flow of and arc of a Christian match, they gelled really well in the Impact title match. This was exactly the same here, and you can tell the crowd were burnt, but these two did such a good job to rope them back in. Like the further the match went on, the more the crowd got into it. Like sure, table spots always helps a tad, but like really, it really talks to the quality of these two lads. Christian even like whipping out a ring apron spear, crashing onto a table, or in Christian's case, a table leg. Oh, Jesus, not a nice line landing to be taking. Christian blocking and reversing so much that Omega really had to rummage in the offense bag to fend the fellow Canadian off. Callis eventually calling for the big guns, Gallows and Anderson, to run interference to save the champion. They're not called the big guns, but I call them the big guns. I think it's quite because it's the Young Bucks and I like it. Anyway, Callis then running interference again. It was just, oh yeah, like, but instead of eating the V-trigger and Omega finding his one-winged angel, he got reversed into the kill switch. Omega kicks out. There's your reverse of the Impact title match. Does not repeat itself here. Callis again running interference. Christian going for a top rope kill switch to like really end it. However, he stopped, hoisted onto the shoulders of Kenny Omega, who then dropped him down with a one-winged angel, and apparently the crowd audibly gasped when Christian was up on the shoulder. Like off the top, Kenny Omega retains with the Avalanche to close out an all-time great event for AEW. But then we go to the closing segment, and the thing that really helps here is them kind of they've lent on past pay-per-views onto the New Japan Pro Wrestling way of doing things, where you've got your main event, you've got that match. However, afterwards the champion does a little talky bit, which is a great little thing where either you get to revel in the moment of the person being champion, a la John Moxley beating Chris Jericho, where he gets to talk to the crowd after his match. You get Kenny Omega ribbing on them. You get the Inner Circle being all happy after their fight, Double or Nothing. And here you get the Elite doing their celebration. But that also is a prime opportunity for interference. For either like a continued heel beatdown, send a message, which the Elite members coming out did do that. Or do a little surprise. Like quite often you get, in New Japan they do it as the next challenger for that champion will then walk out, challenge them, engage crowd kind of reception to it. And off you go. You get Ibushi and Shingo staring at each other. And it's like, yeah, this is going to be great. Yeah. Then Ibushi can't do any physical activity. Oh dear. But here we had the beatdown with the Elite. You had the Young Bucks coming down, like clearly beaten and worn down, but they're going to celebrate with their champion. This is what we do at the end of the show. Kenny and May is going to be everybody adieu and good night. Do the finger gun thing and everything. However, then somebody's music hits. Actually, no, from right first the lights went out, which is then immediately the crowd go, oh crap! And they're already during the beatdown, whilst they were stamping down on Christian. Of course, I forgot to mention Jungle Express came out. They started to try and fend off, but of course the numbers game is still too much, especially after the Marcus Stone, which was easily swatted away. Suddenly it's like 5 or 6 on 2. They're just beaten down. When the lights go out, the crowd were already chanting yes. Daniel Bryan is the one that they are expecting. It is out of the 2 names that they've been linked with in terms of male talent, in Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan. It was Daniel Bryan who was rumoured to be at this show because Adam Cole, his contract only expired last Friday. It was that recent. He was on NXT. He was on NXT TakeOver, losing to Kyle O'Reilly. He was on that show. They had a 3 falls match. I don't think it was like the Undisputed Era epic to close out that era. And his contract ran out last Friday. He was on continued extensions, is the best way to put it. Like he didn't have a contract with WWE, but he also or NXT, but he was like extending it to kind of stay there. And yeah, it ran out last Friday, and here he is already debuting. And for me, that's the lights down music play. Somebody comes out. That's the bigger surprise, personally, for me. And you're like, it's Adam Cole, baby. He's in WWE. Sorry, Jesus Christ. He's in AEW. Got that completely wrong, didn't I? Yeah, and my immediate reaction was, oh, to save him Bryan for Arthur Ashe. Okay, yeah, and for me, this is without doubt the biggest surprise, given how soon he last wrestled for WWE. Again, his contract running out last Friday. Like, it's been 9 days, and he's already in the competition. Oh, he's already debuting on their big pay-per-view. But he then super kicks Jungle Boy to be brought back to life and rejoin the Elite. And of course, the thing that I really liked was what Omega was saying. Is like, no, only people that can beat me, like, they're either not here, they're either not here, retired, or dead. And that's when Adam Cole's music hit, because the whole way they wrote him out of being the Elite was they did a really jokey killing of him, essentially. And it's like, no, Adam Cole's dead. And they very, very flat-faced. It's like, no, he's dead. That's how he's been written out. He's dead. But so they brought him back to life. I thought Kenny Omega mentioning that was a nice little hint at what was about to happen. Just the fact that, no, he's going to super kick Jungle Boy and rejoin the Elite. It's like, okay, yeah, it was the whole time. and they did the Young Bucks kissing his cheeks as he smiles, which was something they did back in Ring of Honor. So it just a little callback to that. Yeah, Adam Cole immediately slotting in right back in with the Elite friends. It's like, oh yeah, he just slots back in so well. That's the exact way to use him. And one of the things he said was, no chance in hell the Elite can be stopped now. Omega bids us adieu. Because Adam Cole got a little bit of mic time, but not that much. He's back to Omega. He's part of the group now. Cool, we got it established. He got the nice big pop for Adam Cole. He looks super happy. Then Omega bids us adieu, and Flight of the Valkyries plays. Just da 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 da. It then transitioned into I wanted to say hip hop remix of Flight the Valkyries, which I'll say has split opinion in terms of quality. Sometimes wrestling themes, I'm like, I'll see if it grows on me. If it's not grown on me within like 3 or 4 like wrestling shows of hearing it, then I know it's not that great a theme. Really, if I still after that amount of time going, it's not doing anything for me. Often takes repetition for you to get used to it. You can get used to anything. And if it truly is bad, you'll struggle to get used to it. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Daniel Bryan, right back to his Ring of Honor name of Bryan Danielson. I'd seen rumor, he's coming back as Bryan Bella. I don't know if that was somebody making a joke, and I just glanced and saw it because I've been busy, and I was like, oh really? And then logged off Twitter, didn't actually look any further. But still, Bryan Danielson. He is in AEW, fighting alongside Jungle Boy, Christian Cage, and Luchasaurus to fend off the Elite and fully send us flying into this new era of All Elite Wrestling. And you've seen loads of, like, Twitter was just so happy, I guess is the best way to put it. Having watched, and it's genuinely such an enjoyable, such a fun show to watch. And it ends with the baby faces standing tall and happy. It's Daniel Bryan. They're not ending on the big heel beatdown. Big heel beatdown happened. You got Adam Cole into the group. However, that wasn't the ending point of the show. It's like, well, because the thing was, which one are they going to debut? Is it going to be Daniel Bryan or Adam Cole? And they bloody debuted both of them in the same segment. It's just the balls. The flex that is. That's just great. But yeah, what a way to cap off such a strong show. Because I'm going to get into the rest of the show, but this was such a strong statement as well. The point I was trying to get to with Twitter, with me in terms of bringing up Twitter, which is that there was quite a few takes of this feels like a shift has happened in wrestling. And I don't know, because definitely a lot of people who hadn't watched past AEW shows did watch this. In terms of like wrestling fans, I don't mean outside of the wrestling bubble. I mean in the wrestling bubble, people who had held off from AEW. I know quite a few, personally, some of my friends of mine who checked out AEW for the first time, and some of them were impressed. Being English, some of them haven't watched it yet. It makes sense. It started airing at 1 a.m. I'll be interested to see what the views are. But still, just it left us such a good impression. They absolutely knocked it out of the park. And there was some concern after the Dynamites following Punk's debut were fine. There's nothing super spectacular. This I think this latest week was just good building without going spectacular or anything. This was spectacular. All Out really was. It was an all-time great show. I'm talking about in terms of wrestling shows that I've enjoyed. This was an all-timer. Just the sheer momentum of it all. And nobody can measure it as well. Like if you're like 2.5 hours into the show and you're not feeling tired, that's telling you about the quality of it. Just absolutely knocks it out of the park. Such a good show, and such a high to finish on as well. And it's not just they've signed like one of the hottest prospects from NXT that was seemingly never really going to get a chance on the main roster. Then there's Daniel Bryan, who did get that chance on the main roster in spite of his size and became one of the biggest stars the company had. And it was such a massive deal that he came back, and it was like they kind of got relegated a bit. That said, Daniel Bryan was still 1/3 of the main event of WrestleMania. It's like the ultimate main event of night 2. Like what WWE would think is their biggest match. It's the final night of WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan was in that match. And now here he is in September debuting for AEW. Like that's a massive statement. And like in terms of why would he do that? A major part of it specifically is that he wants to work New Japan Pro Wrestling. He wants to work in Japan. AEW, with the whole Forbidden Door stuff, they have that link. He can work New Japan. WWE, with I guess the way they have been running, the way they operate, they don't really do that sort of thing in terms of lease you out to work with other companies in that way. Or if they do, they'd have to set up the relationship because it's not currently there. AEW are a company which kind of acknowledge the whole kind of wider wrestling world that's happening. They don't try and be in their own bubble. Whilst WWE are obviously they're the massive entity of wrestling. Until 2019 when AEW started to really launch, they were wrestling in the West. There've been some competition. But since WCW died, there's been nothing. They are wrestling. So for this shift to have happened so quickly, for this to be the place for wrestling, like according at the end of the show, they were saying about people returning home. Because the key thing about Daniel Bryan, he is just like CM Punk. He's another Ring of Honor Hall of Fame guy who helped build that company, put them on the map. Their love of professional wrestling really connecting and really kind of putting them on the radar for WWE to pick them up in the first place. And now here he is in a home which really does once again put wrestling ahead of everything else. And that was what they were selling at the end of the show. That this is the home of professional wrestling. And personally, in terms of there being alternatives and two different promotions, the thing that I really like is both companies having a different philosophy. So I can make a choice. I like this. This is great. For me personally, one, yes, sports entertainment is just like a phrase to get round to a certain thing. But the way it's also nowadays come to explain the tropes of a WWE show. Like I'm thoroughly sports entertained. Like that sort of thing. However, then with AEW, they're singing and praising all about being professional wrestling. Like you go to WWE to be sports entertained, you go to AEW for the professional wrestling. And yes, both bleed into each other. Both WWE and AEW will bleed into each other's side of that. But at their core, one books off of one thing, one off the other. And personally, I really like that. That's great. What if they feel different from each other? But right now, as I'm making this review, one is of a much higher quality, and that is AEW. And this show absolutely proved it. Not that the television does every single week as well. Like reviewing Raw, like this next week, I will review Raw on Tuesday. God help my soul. Then on Thursday, I'm reviewing Dynamite for the first time. Yeah, so that is generally really exciting, really. But also, it's like a direct comparison. And I'm definitely more professional wrestling, given my number one brand is New Japan Pro Wrestling. As a number one New Japan Pro Wrestling guy, my schedule's about to become full because the G1 Climax is kicking off in like 2 weeks, or maybe like a week or so. It's kicking off pretty damn soon. But also, like they've really suffered in this COVID window, and the G1 lineup really does show it. And I'm in they're kind of struggling. But I'm definitely... So AEW definitely feeds more into my personal tastes. But that's because the thing I really like is watching AEW, watching SummerSlam as well. Within this... I feel like I've had a really good comparison of the two different shows, the two different companies, within such a short window. We've got All Out and we've got SummerSlam. And I want to call SummerSlam the sports entertaining side and AEW the professional wrestling side. Obviously, again, both bleed into each other. But there is a clear difference between the two. And I can make a choice about which one I prefer. Oh, isn't that lovely? Isn't that great? And if you're a normal person that doesn't review these things for a website, you've now got a choice now. Which one adheres to you, the style that you like more? Is it the professional wrestling one or the sports entertainment one? The fact that there's a choice, for me, that's great. Both individual ones being more different from each other, for me, is better. They'll learn off each other, they'll adapt, both will figure out what's popular and just go to that. Which, WWE seems to be trying to tell us what's popular, whilst AEW is more feeding into what we're telling them is popular. Like, the WWE one, people don't want to hear it, but it can work. They tell them what they want, they give them what you told them they wanted. It's a tactic that has worked in marketing, and it can work here. But it's a risky play if you're not doing it well, and that's my main thing with WWE. You can do that for sure, but you've got to do it well. That's currently not what they're doing. They're not telling us what we want to like very well. Compared to AEW. AEW's got the easier job. They're not really kind of doing that. It's listening to the fan base a lot, relying on the fan base a lot more. But they're a babyface promotion. They want to be cheered, all that stuff, rather than the other swerve. And in kayfabe as well, it's just Tony Khan comes out, gets a cheer, quite literally the guy running the show. He's a whole babyface thing. There's no swerves or anything to go against the fans. No, he's all for us. But yes, such a momentum swing for AEW with an incredible show and then just a statement-making ending. So anyway, I want to talk about the next thing. Darby Allin and CM Punk. Because there's an entire show to get through. I feel like I want to talk about this one before then going into the rest of the show. Which, again, my thing I wrote down in my notes is even before we got to the CM Punk debut, this for me was really feeling like an all-time great show. And I felt like I was comfortable saying that as the promo packages were playing for the Punk match. Because I'm there's 3 matches left now. The likelihood of these 3 matches just destroying the reputation of this show feels so slim that I'm going out on a limb here and I'm saying this is an all-time great show. That doesn't mean you personally are going to love it. But it does mean that just I guess critically it's going to be received extremely well, because there's so much good on this show that I can't give it any lower marks than perfect personally for me, because it ticked all of the boxes I would want. Again, this is why I don't like number scales, because I'm giving it a 10, as in I've got no faults with it. I really enjoyed it. It kept me hyped and excited about the entire show, and then left me hyped and excited. Can't wait to tune in on Wednesday. Yeah. Why would I give it any other lower grade than perfect? For me, it was a perfect show. Doesn't mean it will be for you. That's why I don't do numbers. That's why I think they're a bit silly. Because people hear a number and then freak out. Oh, it wasn't a perfect thing with all these things. No, it's perfect for me. That's why I don't do numbers. Because freak out over the number. The number doesn't mean diddly squat. It's just it's a thing to react over. Hence why I'm not going to do it. Really enjoyed the show. But then we did get the CM Punk debut, and for me it was more a kind of amazing moment rather than it was never going to be an amazing match. In terms of CM Punk's reception in AEW, I think the line I heard somebody say was, if he proves he's competent, he's still competent in the ring, he's still fine, then I think we're good. He doesn't need to do anything more than that. He can hit his good moves, run those ropes again, and kind of hang at a pace with Darby Allin, and we're good to go. That's exactly what he did. After 7 years, CM Punk has returned to professional wrestling. What an amazing moment. Again, the atmosphere was incredible. His music playing in Chicago, just keeping up that hype for the entire match. Punk showing us he's still got it as Darby hangs with the man of the moment. Just like, yes, that's kind of just to tackle the, CM Punk beat the guy, though here comes the former WWE guy coming in and beating their talent. It's like, CM Punk is on such a level, and you saw the hype with his debut and everything. He wins this match. But at the same time, Darby Allin just being there elevates him, and what happened after the match as well, like, really solidifies it. It's almost like a backup just in case something went wrong in the match. They've got this thing afterwards where it can all figure out, can all play out. It's like, it works so damn well. But with the way that the match played out, it was fine. He proved he was competent. He got that across. The Chicago crowd were really into it. Punk showed he could hang with Darby Allin. And what I really liked to emphasize this was when he reversed Darby Allin and then just lifted him up and just hit the GTS, just like mid counter kind of swing, just nailed the GTS. But the young talent toppled to the outside. Just again, no, is he going to fall? Like, whoa, none of that. No, just hitting the head and immediately toppled out. And the second time with Punk winding up Allin, countered right out and shot out of a cannon with the suicide dive of his. Like, Jesus Christ, Darby Allin. But yeah, Darby himself, I really liked him teasing the go to sleep hand gesture as he was on the top rope about to hit the coffin drop. But Punk just sat right up. It's like, just such a great little spot. I really like that. He's just like, it's the Zack Sabre Jr. school of, if he's going to jump on you, just move. I love it. Obviously, Zack Sabre Jr. saying it slightly differently. Just move, you dickhead. Such a great guy. But yeah, a great little spot, which then went into a strong final sequence as Punk has, like, he just survives, works, and he's got to work, and he's got to counter into that GTS. He's not going to be able to, like, just hit it and pin Darby. That first time was such a fluke, but also he was never going to be able to follow up on it as well. If he wants to finish the match, he's going to have to work for it. And Darby made him do that, so it gave him a hurdle to get over. In the end, halting Darby's Poison Varna attempt into the GTS. As soon as Darby went for that, and Excalibur's on commentary going, he's going for the Poison Varna, I'm like, this is Punk's first match back. He's not going to take a Poison Varna. Like, surely. In terms of, getting back into the groove, I'd be so surprised if on the list, on the top of the list of moves to take was the Poison Varna. Let's make sure we can walk before we run. But yeah, and this match was CM Punk 100% making sure we can all walk. We can run later. We don't. If he really wants to take the Poison Varna down the road, that's fine. It was not a necessity here. But yeah, but then he countered really well into the GTS. It was so smooth. A great return for CM Punk as the crowd goes right back into singing the theme after the match. And a really nice three-way show of respect as Sting came back out and helped up his partner in Darby Allin, who I also thought did really well just to show how down he was that he'd actually lost to Punk. Punk showing respect to Darby for the hard fight. Sting with a nice face-to-face with CM Punk. That's a clash of generations. Like, all three of these, it's three distinct generations of wrestling. So such an awesome image for all three of them to be in the ring together. Yeah, so strong. So damn strong. And I can't really praise the kind of that how this card flowed. I can't really praise it enough. It just carried my hope for the entire thing. But I'm going to go through the card in order now. Obviously, I'll skip Punk when I get to it. But yeah, we've got 6 more matches to talk about. starting with the TNT Championship. Before I get to that, I came like the Enigma, which I found so easy to say at 20 to 6 in the morning. I do apologise. Saying, can't give it a 10. Didn't like the Paul White and QT, and didn't care for the Best Friends match. The rest were great to you. So, a little, I guess, asterisk for mine. I never count pre-show stuff. So, the Best Friend match, because it was on the pre-show, it's not counted to the actual review. That's how I've always looked at it. Whenever I do, I say something. I think it's the way WWE changed me. And to be fair, when AEW started, they were the same. Where it felt like their kickoffs, their pre-shows, that you could pay half attention to them. They didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just like a bit of fun, an entertaining match, and it was an entertaining multi-man match. It was nothing more or less than that, so it's fine. Yeah. It's something I can pay half attention to whilst getting ready. Because I was not ready for the start of this show. Paying half attention to it off on the screen on the side as I'm getting my stuff on my laptop ready, getting the area set up. Yeah. That's why I don't really pay much attention to the pre-show stuff, because I have been told by these shows that you can pay half attention to it. It's more of a fun little... AEW use it more nowadays. I think they found a really good groove of... They just put on a fun match... And go, do you want more? Do you like fun? Do you want more fun? You can pay the pay-per-view. You can have more fun. It's fun. People really like having fun. In fact, it's actually that the full character traits of some people in NXT and even maybe also WWE's that they really like having fun, and we found that's true. So why does pay-per-view have fun? In terms of Paul White QC, when I get to the match, actually, you know what? I'll talk about that one now, so when I see Punk on my kind of list of stuff, I can just stop. I can end on MJF Jericho. End on a high. So, with the Marshall White match, for me, in terms of the flow of this card, it served its purpose. Absolutely perfectly served its purpose. Because I see it in New Japan especially. I'm going to have to go to New Japan. It's my number one boy. My number one baby boy. Why are you struggling so much? But with the Wrestle Kingdom, you'll have an absolute blinder of a second to last final match. An absolute classic for what would have been the IC Championship. Then the main event happens, hyped as hell. But to make sure the crowd are actually into it, you get 10-15 minutes of really slow wrestling, gradually building and building up those gears, getting them going, and eventually they start to hit their stride after like 15 minutes. But the QT Marshall Paul White match, that's your come down. That's already happened. You don't have to start a little slower to give the crowd enough time to recover to then react to your match, which is why they do that in the New Japan main events, especially the Wrestle Kingdom ones. Like it's so the crowd can kind of get the energy back. So when you start hitting your spots, they've actually got the energy for it. And for me, the point of the Marshall and White match was that is your kind of energy recovery spot, so that they've got energy for the match they actually care about. WWE, they started doing a similar thing, where they would have but the difference is this for me, QT Marshall Paul White match was don't really care compared to being completely nothing. I think that's the error when WWE do it. It's complete filler for WWE, whilst this was just a feud which felt low key. It felt lower mid card. Felt like it didn't really matter. It was just a nice moment for Paul White to go out there. People who like Paul White got to see him beat up a load of chumps that not really got anything going for them. And yeah, and again, the thing that really helped in terms of kind of building the crowd back up afterwards was the hyping for Rampage and Dynamite, getting them little things to pop for. Which, to be fair, like the Marshall White match was that as well. That was them having the odd little pop thing, but it's nothing super spectacular. Like, if you want a wee before the main event, now's your time to go. Yeah, it was perfectly fine, fun match. It didn't outstay its welcome. It was over really quickly. Served its purpose for the overall thing of the card, and like out the lads go. If, however, you do the kind of like star system for a card, and like the overalls of all the matches then lead to the overall kind of like final star score, then this match would bring it down. Because again, it was not much of it there. But in terms of like the flow of the card, it 100% served its purpose. Again, WWE do the same thing, and I think it's mostly fine, except for, again, when the match is complete filler. Or if you have The Miz come out, Miz and Morrison, SummerSlam is a great example where they had Miz, Morrison and Woods come out, and it's just like, why are you wasting so much time on this? You've already just been doing more filler. You brought out the Olympic folk. You've filled more time already, and now filling out even more time with the whole water thing. But it is like a kind of a break from the action to come down and then get them ready for the next match. So I understand its purpose. It's not always carried out well, and for me, the best thing about this match is it didn't outstay its welcome. It kind of hit its beats and it left. Cool. I mean, if it continues, I don't care. I just don't care. And the way it was presented on the show was it's presented as something where you're not really meant to care that much. They told me I'm allowed to, with the way this card was done, the way they presented it. It's like, it's perfectly fine. This is not like the match after this is what you're meant to care about. But when it then announced further matches, so because I know I was thinking I could save this to the end of this review, but I keep forgetting to kind of read after the match. So before the main event, we got a few more things where it was announced further into for the rest of the week. What are these upcoming things? We're bloody getting Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki. Spoilers for later. It's taking place this Wednesday on Dynamite. And they're in Cincinnati, Ohio this Wednesday for Dynamite. And they've hyped it on Dynamite already that this will be Jon Moxley's homecoming. And now we get his match. It's like, tasty, yes. As well as Ruby Soho's TV debut. She got an amazing ovation as well. And Molecula Black versus Dustin Rhodes. It's too many L's for 6 a.m. Just going to say it. Too many L's. Malachi Black, I tried so hard. Black even got a nice wee little promo. I'm just going to call him Black. I can't do his first name at this point of morning. Black got a nice wee little promo as well, talking to camera, and he got a pop for it. The crowd are still hot for him. As well as hyping Pac versus Andrade El Idolo for Rampage on Friday. Andrade got a little promo early in the show too. And just continuing the hype. It's like, if you really enjoyed this show, then you can have more fun. Look at that. So if you are somebody who heard about the CM Punk thing and you watched the pre-show just to see if the vibes for me, and they did that thing of, do you like fun? We can have more fun. Just pay us. For me, again, Americans, if you want to put your fingers in your ears so you don't hear how much I paid for the show compared to you. If you don't want to pay your $14.99, then if you want to pay $14.99, then come on in. Yeah. I'm like, it's like £15. I'm going to give it a go. And if you had really big fun on this show, which I expect a lot of people did, then they're on this show itself. And then goes, if you want, do you want continued fun? Because we're doing something on Wednesday. Like, no pressure, but we're doing this thing on Wednesday. If you want to come along, it's like great stuff. The Enigma's Black. You love how I explained that because it did so explicit. Oh, cool, good to hear. Yeah, that's why I don't like giving star reviews. It's sometimes a match which serves a purpose on the card itself, but you can't rate that highly because it's a nothing thing. It's like, that's what I hate about Raw is the card structure doesn't. The segments don't really lead that well to the card structure. The way it's formatted to fill out the 3-hour show, you quite often hit a fatigue point just because it's purely down to the show structure, and that's most often down to them writing it like so close to deadline, if not on the time, so things aren't thought through. Even if it's a good idea, sometimes it's not executed that well because it's just not been thought through. Cough, cough, the Irish interviewer doing the crab walk, which became my most popular tweet, me gifting that. just like, yeah. It led me to be able to say that so many people retweeted that. But still, that's a fantastic case in point of a decent idea, showing Matt Riddle or Mo P afterwards, but it was clearly not thought through, because when they were shooting it, they just didn't think certain things through, and something fell through the cracks. And that was an interviewer walking like a crab. It happens. It happens. I'm not demonstrating. I'm wearing quite short shorts. I don't want to get demonetized. No, anyway, I'm seeing how long I've gone into this show, and I need to talk about the rest of the show itself. So, again, such a hyped show, and I'll have a drink of water, because what I'm going to have to talk about, I'm going to have to say it with Gus. So, the TNT Championship kicked off the show. Miro versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston kicking off All Out in a title match. You love to see it. Hell of a throwdown to start us off. Miro wanted to fight, his words, and he personally was picking Eddie Kingston. And that's exactly what he got. And he gave him exactly what he wanted. The white-hot crowd cheering for everything. The Eddie chants heating up each and every slowdown. As promised, Eddie delivering all of his offense to the champion's neck as well. Even the suicide dive aiming on target in a nice touch put over by commentary, because I had forgotten that he said that, and then they brought it up. I was like, oh yeah, he did say that, didn't he? Yeah, and he's been doing it. Thank you, commentary. You painted that picture. Miro worn down but not broken. The undefeated champion dropping Kingston with a kick and wrenching back with the game over, where so many have tapped. Eddie, willed on by the crowd chanting his name so damn loudly into grabbing those ropes. But now what does Miro do? Lost. He got caught by the... He's just like, I don't know what to do now. And then Eddie just catches him with a spinning elbow. Follows up with the DDT. The champion is out. The crowd are going crazy. He's like, oh my god, that's it. But Bryce Remsburg, damn you referee Remsburg, was temporarily busy putting the turnbuckle pad back on. For me, 100% deliberate. And I was watching this going... This works so perfectly. The people in this ring are so experienced in terms of having the crowd in the palm of their hand and being able to do something just to do that. The referee being slightly distracted by the turnbuckle not being on, and they saw that as a referee making a mess up, the screwing up, going, oh, you effed up chance afterwards, like you weren't in position. But that's why it's not a 3. That's why it was. That's why it was so good. It felt so like a natural thing where it's like, oh god, he's not in position to count the 3. What a bad referee! But they're doing that on the no, Bryce, you effed up by not being in position because he hit the finisher and you meant to count it. It's like no, him doing that is why Miro can kick out. It's so good. I love it. And then it goes into the finish afterwards as well. Because then afterwards, Eddie goes to whip Miro into the corner. Remsburg's like, no! He stands in front and stops the whip from happening, and that then costs Eddie the match. They're booing. You get heat on Miro. You get heat on Remsburg. Don't worry, he gets to ref happy times later. But still, just great stuff. I really like that ending. Purely because of how well it just controlled the environment and everything. It had the potential to not quite work. I think we saw that a few times. There was certain ways that the match has played out where it has the potential for the crowd to maybe go, but it was done so well that you can dance the line if you're doing it well. So great stuff. Hot opener with the crowd drawn right in. Really good stuff. And fantastic to see Miro with such a stride. Eddie Kingston kicking off a pay-per-view. I was just thinking about Eddie Kingston, but Miro as well. Great to see him open the show in such form. Amazing stuff. Speaking of form, how solid is this card? Satoshi Kojima versus John Moxley. I'm just like, I think it was here when I noticed this match was second, and I was just like, to be fair, where else is it going? Look at this card. It just really hit me. I think on paper, this is a really strong card. In terms of AEW build, it's not their strongest. Which is it's so great to say that about the company. Now, how privileged are we that I get to say this was not their best built show, yet I'm saying this is possibly an all-timer event. In terms of critique. But yeah, the show itself is still incredible. And a lot of stuff out of their hands, in terms of the Christian Cage thing. They would have had a really long-term built match at the main event, which may have been perfectly fine to cover up some of the other stuff. Also, recently returning to the road, there's been a lot of stuff that's been building since they returned to the road, which is still not that long a period of time. As it plays out, I feel like we'll get into a groove of things building from now to Full Gear. I feel like Full Gear will feel really solid. Doesn't mean it'll definitely deliver like this one did on the night, but when you get to the event, you feel hyped for it. But yeah, Kojima with the pop, that was fantastic to hear. A true bread-powered legend. When he came to the UK, we gave him so many loaves and he looked so happy. That was great. Mox entering in his GCW hoodie following his championship win last night. Great to see. And the match itself, Kojima bringing his patented chops and veteran state of play, but Moxley always finds a way to bring out a unique edge to a match. I would, as the thing I've next got written down is about them biting each other's heads whilst up on the corner. It's like, it brings a unique style. It always devolves slightly more uniquely. Kojima himself, not alien to wearing down his opponent's head, ending so many opponents with his cozy lariat, leading to both lads lamping with lariats, driving down with DDTs, straight up having strike exchanges to their faces. This was a hard-hitting match. I loved it. Counters upon counters to the end until Mox countered into the paradigm shift. And, oh dear, what a fun match. Yeah, a really nice showcase. And they just lamped each other for a bit, knackered each other, and eventually Moxley won. The younger guy won, as should happen. But, oh my god, for me, so it takes a lot for me to have a big reaction, but maybe because New Japan are my number one. Maybe that's why this legit gave me goosebumps. And the fact that I wasn't expecting it at all. That really does help. After the match, out walks none other than Minoru goddamn Suzuki, the murder grandpa, to a mega pop, holy shit chance, and just like, looks like Moxley's tour of New Japan Legends is set to roll on to continue right into Suzuki. Jesus, I was not expecting that at all. There's not in the slightest. I think that's what really helps. In terms of like, why did this actually give me goosebumps? All the attention for me was on, is it going to be Adam Cole or Daniel Bryan, or either of them? Are either going to show it to just save it for Arthur Ashe? I think the way the show had gone, I might have even been fine with just the Elite closing the show on that promo. You got little tensions between the group because the Young Bucks lost. That might have been fine. Because the show was solid enough, I'd have been happy. I would have gone home happy. They've given me my entertainment. They've given me my £15 worth. Sorry, America. Get consumer protection laws. That's all I can say. Looking at your climate, not going to happen, but this is what it looks like. I paid £15. But still, the surprise was so big. I was just not expecting it. I was with the crowd just going, oh my god, holy crap. And then they're giving it us this Wednesday. He's like, yeah, stay with the hype. He's done the New Japan thing. If he's going to be there a couple of weeks, then off he pops. I was like, oh, yes, love it. And he's booked for so many matches. It's Menorah Suzuki. He's doing a wee little tour. Anyway, yeah. Also, this end, they had a kind of unique showing of respect, I guess. Entering an exchange of forearms and strikes, their own unique showing of it, like a literal fight of respect. Suzuki dropping the victor with the Gotch-style power driver as well. And that sets up our match for Wednesday. Moxley, even late in the show, he also got a promo to hype it up a little bit more as well. Is that how he's going to beat up the bully that is Suzuki? Showing you how to do the, bullies, I don't like bullies, you're a bully, I'm going to beat you up. How to do that promo well. Again, it's one of the tropes WWE likes to bring up a lot where, and quite often I'll just go, this character just doesn't feel genuine. A lot of the time it's because they're just regurgitating the scripts they've been given for, you're a bully, bullies are bad. A recent example, Damien Priest. But Moxley here shows you how to do the bully promo perfectly. And he kind of mix it in with other stuff. Just, so well done. Right, moving on to the next match, which was also really strong. I need to push on with this because my eyes are getting blurry because I'm that tired. AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker versus Chris Dutlander. What an amazing feeling when every single entrance on a show gets a jazzed up pop. Like, they're all over. It's just, like, nothing is like a pat on the back and an applause for the good work in terms of trying to get the acts over than every single person on this show getting a massive pop. And the hot crowd like really added to the action as well. Another really strong match as the card absolutely flew by, me realising at this point, oh god, we're an hour in. Best friends out to counter the Shaw ringside shenanigans of Rebel and Hater. The crowd chanting, "This is awesome," as the action broke down to the outside and Statlander crashed with the dodge moonsault, leading to a great little spot as we got to see some emotion from Orange Cassidy. Shivani on commentary, like, where's that come from? Seeing that emotion for the first time. Shouting at Statlander to get back up and into the ring. And hell of a pop for Brit's own Panama, dubbed Pittsburgh Sunrise. Absolutely nailed it. And it's only just hit me now. Adam Cole is in the company. Could that have been a little foreshadowing from Brit hitting the sun? I mean, the reason it works so well is because the kind of smart crowd knows that she's married to Adam Cole. I think they're married. I don't know. I don't dig that deep because it's not my concern. Anyway, yeah. So knowing that they're together, people might have just gone, that's a callback to that. Whilst she's like, actually, there's a little foreshadowing. No, it works even stronger now. Following up with a stomp and the lockjaw win. Really hot finish. Great stuff. And for me, and the match itself, I think the moment Orange Cassidy just shouted at Chris Statlander to get back into the ring, the match didn't let down after that. Because, of course, Statlander gets in with fire, and then Britt Baker responds equally. Really strong stuff. Also, the best friends negated that ringside interference so well that the ending had no involvement from them, which was great to see, especially from... Because Britt Baker is still a heel, but is so incredibly over that she's getting cheered as a babyface. So it's in a weird mid-ground where she's presented slightly heelish, but then when she's out there, there's quite a few babyfaces that don't go full heel. You don't want to keep that reaction. It's an interesting middle ground. A bit interesting. Anyway, speaking of all-time classics, the steel cage match between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros gets another, Jesus Christ. I've said that way too many times in this stream. First note, an amazing live performance entrance for the Lucha Bros, like as we entered the craziness that is this pairing. Another note, Rey Fenix is just not of this world. The first reminder for me was when he did a weak kick off the cage wall into a DDT. Then springboarded off the top rope, kicked off the cage wall, DDT. Just casually whipped that out. Yeah, why not? And he got the big spot at the end, diving off the steel cage as well. Crazy guy. All-time great cage match. You got the violence with the blood in there as well. This was surely just such another level. Like, so many cool spots in the first half as well. Like, just fired off at such a crazy space. What's crazy space? Like, incredibly impressive stuff as the crowd got louder and louder. And yes, Swerve Show, what a show. Immediately following up with the gag. I'll pretend that was your first, and I'll take your first answer. First response. What a show. But yeah, building to some top-notch baddie work as the Cutler chucks in a Wii Sports Bag. Good throw, Cutler. Good throw. Some good height on that. I was certain it was just going to be a comedy spot where you can't get it in. And then you get a few more spots and get it in later. I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm really happy. You flipping nailed that. The chucks in the loaded boot like no other. A $5,000 Nike with thumbtacks covering the underneath. So, the shoe covered in thumbtacks. Definitely unique. I was informed as well that this was a PWG thing they'd done. Apparently, when the Young Bucks had a match with Candice LeRae, as was the trend back in PWG, they did do that spot with the loaded shoe. But here it worked so well because why they're doing it? Because they want to cause so much violence to them. And of course, it made like Tony Schiavone getting really angry that the Elite had found another way to get around the steel cage. And it was just like the entire point Tony Khan gave us this steel cage was so that the Elite wouldn't do this sort of thing, and they found a workaround. They still managed to F with the match. Out loud calling it BS. It's like, that really worked. It really helped sell why they're kind of resorting to this level of stuff. Ripping the masks off the Bros. Again, the massive disrespect there. As Penta falls in front of his brother to save him from a loaded boot kick. All in vain, as the Bucks just kicked wild, kicking them both in the head, and then both Penta and Phoenix with the masks ripped open and they're bleeding. The crowd booing, chanting, asshole, as the match broke down into a convincing boo heel win. With Phoenix just breaking the pin in time as the crowd went mental. When Phoenix broke that up, they were so convinced that this was the end. You've got this is the heels coming up with their big plan, and they're just beating them up, and then they'd hit their big moves. They were so convinced that was the end. But no. Got them. It worked. It worked to a T. Phoenix breaking the pin just in time, and I swear the crowd never died back down after that. The crazy pop they gave for the kick out, it stayed at that level, which is so rare. to actually achieve that, like, that's another level of stuff. As in, you're getting the crazy praise out of here. Like, you're like at the top end of the scale at this point. A crazy atmosphere as Phoenix walloped both blokes with that thumbtacked shoe. Both blokes. Both bucks. Not the young blokes. And the craziness built and built and built as all four bled all over the mat, and the crowd are continuing with that insane level of noise. A Canadian destroyer off the top turnbuckle. Yeah, throw that in. A reference to the Canadian destroyer off the ladder in their previous meeting 2 years ago. Oh, just a little note as well. The fact that these matches are so crazy, what really helps is the last time these two faced just 2-on-2 was 2 years ago at All In 2019. They've not had a Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks tag team 2 versus 2. They've not had that since All In 2019. It's been 2 years, and personally, yeah, wait again. These are something special, and if you keep the distance that big, then that keeps them special. So I really like that. Another thumbs up. So unsurprisingly, getting the fight forever towards the end of the match. And then we got our crazy Bucks versus Bros spot. Phoenix diving off the top of the cage. And then we got that assisted driver thing for the win to an unbelievable ovation. The pop at the end of this match was something else. Like one of the loudest pops to a victory I've heard. Absolutely incredible. Like you've heard quite a few like really happy, like full of emotion kind of pops. It's just like the crowd doing the massive cheer. There was just a boom to this one. It was just they were so sucked into the match, into what was presented in front of them, that when that final pin happened, they went absolutely crazy. Once they realised it was the new champions, yeah, it felt like the Lucha Bros were becoming superstars in that match. Or megastars, I'll say. Superstars is the WWE name for stuff. But yeah, they're becoming megastars with this match. Given the platform because of Punk as well. Like, this was them getting pushed off that. Like, oh yeah, just absolutely insane match. It was, yeah, as soon as I saw it as those, I was like, well, I hope they don't injure themselves. It's Young Bucks and Lucha Bros. But the story they told in that match, the way that it built up, the way it suckered the crowd in to that point where they're at a fever pitch. It's just absolutely nailed it. Like, the crowd is at a fever pitch, and then when the pinfall happens, it's one of the loudest ovations that I've heard. Like, how can you not say it was absolutely nailed? Like, if you've done that good a job. So, well done. Well done. Anyway, 2 more matches to go. My voice is going. It is. The daylight is creeping in. It's time. Oh, it's time for me to get through the Casino Battle Royal. And then Chris Jericho MJF to end on another high. So, the first 5, if you don't know how the Casino Battle Royal works, and for some reason listening to this review. So, you got 4 suits and you got a Joker. There are 5 people per suit. The Joker is like a lone person who's got the final spot to themselves. Often it's like a debuting person, or it's like the big beefy one, or one of the favourites. That's the way it works. You either put a favourite in that spot, or you put a new face in there, just to get a nice pop, or a returning wrestler as well. Not that AEW have got a lot of ability to do the returning wrestler spot, purely given how young they are. But, you know, eventually someone will get injured. They'll be used for that eventually if they keep their gimmick up. So, in the first suit, that was the clubs, Hikaru Shida, Sky Blue, Emi Sakura, the Bunny, and Abaddon. Shida, the former women's champion, hasn't really been featured that much since going back on the road. Yeah, her and Sakura, who was her trainer back in Japan, immediately went to work as the Chicago crowd chanted for their hometown girl in Sky Blue, only for her to be immediately eliminated by Abaddon, who herself was pushed over by the Bunny. I was like, cool, next bit. The Diamonds, Anna Jay to a big pop given she just returned this week, and the whole link with the Dark Order there. Kira Hogan, Kaden King, Diamante, and Nyla Rose. Anna going straight for Ali. Emi Sakura eliminated by a charging Hikaru Shida. Kira Hogan kicked out of the match before Nyla Rose clotheslined Kaden King out, before also powering favourite Shida out and over. It's like, I think that's the one elimination that... There were 2 eliminations in this match where they got a bit of a reaction, and if Shida was one of them. And that left Anna Jay, the Bunny, Rose, Nyla Rose and Diamante left for the next suit, which was the Hearts, and Thunder Rosa to a big pop. Penelope Ford, or Penelope, as JR said it. Riho, Jamie Hayter, and Big Swole. I can't take the piss out of someone saying a name when it's 6 a.m. and I can't say the name. It doesn't work, does it? Big Hoss Hater stomping poor wee Rio right down with a loud "Shut up, shut up, or stamp you." That's how she sounds like. That's Jamie Hayter's voice. Shut up. I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't give it the gravitas it needs. Yeah, it's a proper shout, but my voice is gone. Although the Joshi accidentally spilled to the outside, and that was the end of whatever was planned there. Maybe it was a bit off camera, or wasn't paying attention, and I just missed it. But Jamie Hayter seemed to be signaling no, she wasn't, and then just went with it anyway. It's like it's happened. It's fine. It's happened. Diamante then eliminated via a swole headbutt. Like she was just sitting there, like second rope, middle rope height, and then Swole just ties with a headbutt. A unique elimination. Swole herself then got eliminated by Hayter, who got to look like the big hoss because she was going to do a nice elimination for someone else that looked cool afterwards, which then brought out the Aces. Ty Conti, Red Velvet, Layla Hirsch, Jade Cargill, and Rebel. Rebel out pretty quickly, did a fun little thing where the commentators going, what is she doing? She gets eliminated. We saw some great pairings kind of just separate here for a little battling off, as we got Hirsch versus Cargill, Red Velvet versus Hayter, Conti versus Ford, and Cargill, a beast, launching Layla out to ringside with power. And that brought out our final person, Ruby Soho, to an amazing pop from the crowd, the emotional over her face, she got to have an amazing run here. The crowd were chanting for her, and a great ovation for a really strong feel-good moment for Ruby's AEW debut. Cargill launches out Hayter. That's why Hayter looked strong earlier. That's so that Cargill looks even stronger for launching her out. There's always a bigger fish. Takes advantage and tosses over Velvet as well. Then makes the mistake of doing big muscle poses. Look how strong I am. And so Nyla Rose just eliminates her. You can't do that in a Royale. It can't happen. Soho and Rosa realising that they have an immediate chemistry and they were working together a tad, as Tay Conti eliminated Penelope Ford into another celebrating pose mistake, this time from Conti, as Nyla Rose gets another elimination. And they got a few boos from the crowd. It's like, could have had one of Jay or Conti in the final lot. Our final 3, Rose, Soho, and Rosa. Nyla beats, in terms of rock, paper, scissors, Nyla beats Rose, but Rosa eliminates Nyla into our final 2. Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa to face in a wee showdown. They did it earlier, then they started teaming together, and now they're properly against each other, and the crowd were really building up for it. A nice wee little showdown. Spinning to the ring apron with kicks and near eliminations for both. Head kick to Rosa, and off she spills. Ruby Soho wins in a great feel-good moment. Kind of like she would do in WWE, she would do the spin into the kick. Here she's just like, I'm going to kick you. I'm just going to kick you in the face. And out she went. And Ruby Soho gets the feel-good win in a really strong feel-good moment. Just the way this match played out, just everything about it was like, no, you're going to have a really fun time. And when it ended, it was just smiles all around. And it was like, you're going to see Ruby again on Wednesday. Cool. Great. And the amount of love all over social media. Just, fantastic. Great stuff. Amazing to see. From across the board as well. It seemed like, be it NXT, main roster, WWE, and AEW itself. The amount of people showing their love for Ruby getting such a reaction as well. there's like loads of people going, my heart, just seeing it. It's always good to see. Yeah. Anyway, the final match we're going to talk about, as I have gone over an hour. I've gone over an hour. I need to wrap this up. So, the final match. If Jericho loses, he will never wrestle in AEW again. MJF versus Chris Jericho. Going into the match, MJF is undefeated in singles competition. They've built him up that strongly. Today, 2 years later, he is still undefeated in singles competition. A huge star for the future of AEW. But then, surely, Chris Jericho won't be retiring, right? So who wins? What do they do here? And hilariously top-notch crowd trolling entrance from MJF. I can't talk about this match without talking about his entrance. It's fantastic. The countdown from Jericho's WWF debut appeared on the screen to a great crowd pop. A huge reaction to that. And it goes dark and then the pyro goes and like, yeah. But after the pyro on the screen, it says Jericho's last match and Freeman's music plays. Just, amazing. Amazing. I love that. Just the immediate boost from the crowd as they read what was on the screen and like, oh, for God, and then dun dun. It's so good. The match itself kicking off all brawly brawl before channeling into the ring as arrogant Maxwell goes to end Jericho forever. He's only 25. Damn you, talented youth. Like, even pulling out impressive moonsaults and the like in his desperate attempts to end Jericho. MJF doesn't do the top rope maneuvers, the high flying stuff. So the fact that he did that was just like, no, he's putting stuff out the bag for this one. A nice twist in the tail as Jericho powerbombing the man onto the ring apron suddenly created a weak point for the younger guy. In the previously flying fella, MJF still pulling out top level counters, but now he can't capitalise. He does an amazing counter to Chris Jericho to powerbomb him off the top rope, or at least out of the corner, but he can't then pin the guy. His back hurts too much. He's like, my back hurts, and he can't do the pin. And that's wrestling. So Pinnacle and Inner Circle members are cancelling each other out as well with their attempted interference, but MJF was still able to sneak in a surprise attack with Floyd the baseball bat, following up with a Judas effect, and the ref counts 3, with Jericho getting his foot on the ropes, but referee Aubrey didn't see it. The music was playing for MJF and everything is celebrating. The crowd are booing with that sense of, we'll probably get to like it'll stand up, we'll do a clap, it'll a little bit of a somber moment, and Chris Jericho leaves. But no, because of the interference from the Inner Circle and Pinnacle members and the referees coming out to usher them away, a referee was there, and from his angle, he saw the foot of Jericho go onto that rope. So he then goes and talks to Aubrey, then he talks to just like, I'm an official, I can still rule, I can still say things. I was out here, and we know why he was out here, to usher those away. Was like, what's this random ref walking? No, they gave a reason for the referees to be out there, and then one of those referees saw something. I'm just like, it's just thinking about it. I just, this is what I mean by the difference between AEW and WWE. WWE would still book this sort of thing. Like, both companies have booked this kind of angle before. The difference here is AEW have thought about it in advance and given a reason for the referee to be out there. In WWE, it would just be a referee running out the back and telling them. Whilst this has created an in-universe reason for the referee to go, I just happened to be out here and I saw it. So yeah, I like it. I really like it. The match is restarted and the crowd go crazy. Jericho misses the Judas effect, caught in the salt of the earth, but fought his way out and into the walls. MJF can't reach the ropes and has to tap. The in-ring career of Chris Jericho continues. The undefeated streak of MJF also is it's over. I mean, you can say he's not been pinned, but he has submitted. So you could maybe just, because he's MJF, he can twist it into saying nobody has pinned him. And he can do that. And after all the trials that Jericho went through, and MJF saying this is it, it's over after this, we'll see how strong a reset it is. We'll see what happens. But at least here, I don't know, would they do the twist where it's now MJF wants a match with Jericho, and now he's forced to go through trials, or will we just move on? I prefer move on, to be fair. It felt like it's done its course. Inner Circle have won the feud. Can move on to the next thing, whatever that may be. And that is the end of the review. I got through it all. It's pure daylight outside. About getting up for work and leaving. I'm about to go to bed. Anyway, thank you for watching this review. The engagement, talk about it. You can hit me up on Twitter at the damn implicat. That's damn as in damn. I've got my Twitch, the implications with 2 S's, and I've, be honest, not streamed in a little while. I want to get back to it at some point. This week is more about getting the review schedule back on track with Raw and Dynamite, so we'll see how that goes. And I don't know if there's anything else. Anyway, do Wrestling Headlines. The Wrestling Headlines handles Russell Headlines, that's Wrestle without an E, and then also over on Facebook as well for Wrestling Headlines. With the massive following of Facebook, it's a bit over the top. An amazing show for All Out. What did you make of All Out? Hit up in the comments, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up even on the comments for Laws of Pay / Wrestling Headlines as well. Also, with RedCircle, the podcast version of this, you can donate to RedCircle as well to help us keep pumping out this sort of thing. It means a lot. And I think that's that. I'm way too tired to remember everything. If there's anything I've forgotten, I'm sorry. 6:20. I'm going to bed, and I'm going to bed strong. I've got so much stuff to clear up first, but then I'm going to do it, trust me. It might be about 7. I'm going to go to bed. What did you make of All Out? I've entered this review so hyped. The show it carried that momentum up the entire thing, and then they gave you such a strong reason to tune in on Wednesday. They made 2 huge debuts with Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole. So what did you make of the show? What did you think of AEW All Out? Especially for a first-time viewer as well. If CM Punk drew you in, what did you make of this show? With that, I say thank you for watching, liking, engaging in any form, any manner, whatever it may be. I bid you adieu myself. With that, goodbye. Adios.